The 7 solutions to never run out of money, even if you earn little. Welcome. My name is Abraham, and today I'm going to show you Arkad's tips from the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, on how to always have money. And don't worry, these are tips that everyone can apply. So let's get to it. Make your money grow. What Arkad says is simple, but rarely applied these days. Come on. Of all the money you earn, set aside at least 10%, i.e., if you earn $1,000, spend a maximum of $900 a month and keep the remaining $100. This way, you'll be using time to your advantage, and each month your reserve will increase. For every 10 coins you get from any source, don't spend more than 9. But you might be wondering, how am I going to set aside 10% of my salary when my overdue bills are bigger than my salary? That's what this next tip is for. Control your spending. I'm sure you've experienced or are currently experiencing financial difficulties. We all have at some point, right? And you also surely know someone who earns more than you. And surely that person is always complaining that they don't have any money either, right? So it's in our nature that whenever we receive more money, we also increase our standard of living. Let me give you a hypothetical example. Michael was a man who always worked in an ice cream parlor near his home and earned $1,000 for many years of his life. Every month he earned a salary of $1,000. He lived alone and always lived on the edge of his salary, spending everything he earned and accumulating credit card debt. And his dream was to get a raise. He thought, if I get a raise, I'll be able to buy everything I want, and all that stuff. A few years later, he got a job offer to be a manager at a large company in his city, now earning $5,000. So I ask you, do you think Michael continued to spend the $1,000 he used to? Certainly not, right? He went to live in a better house, bought a car, and continued to accumulate debts even though he was earning 5 times more than before. With this story, I don't mean that you should live your life saving every penny, but rather that you should see what is necessary and what is not necessary for you. And look, everyone has desires that they can't afford. So make a budget for essential expenses and do everything you can not to touch that 10%, because it will be used to fatten your purse. Hey, if you're enjoying this and want to improve your financial life, subscribe for more videos like this one, okay? And let's move on to the next one. Multiply your income. The money you're waiting for is just the beginning, as is your 10% purse, let's call it that. When you start to get fat, you have to keep in mind that you have to multiply that money in some way, because as Arkad said, a man's wealth shouldn't be summed up by the coins he can collect, but by the profits that some can produce. And you may be thinking, okay, but you talk about multiplying money, but how am I going to do that? Well, today there are many ways to multiply your money, from investments to opening a brokerage account to products for resale and many others. Protecting your treasure against loss, basically, you have to study very carefully where you're going to invest your money, so don't go for the get-rich-quick ideas that always appear on the internet, because most of the time they'll just take money away from you. Arkad's tip for this is to protect your treasure by investing where the main thing is safe, where it's clear that you're really going to get a good income. Consult the opinion of those who deal with money. Own your own home. This is very simple. Own your own home as soon as possible, as this will greatly reduce your expenses. And comment, do you agree with this tip, or do you think that living in rent is cheaper than financing your own home? I want to know your opinion, because this is a rather controversial topic, so let me know in the comments. Secure an income for the future. No one can afford not to have an income earmarked for their old age and the protection of their family. It doesn't matter how prosperous your investments or businesses are, because no one wants to experience financial difficulties, especially when they're old, right? Increase your earning capacity. Look, once you've managed to make your first profitable investment, even if it's not very profitable but you've seen that it's paid off, you'll already have the experience to achieve another greater desire. This is the process by which wealth is accumulated. First small sums, then larger ones, as man learns and becomes more capable. The more knowledge, the more earnings. The man who always seeks to learn more about his profession will be richly rewarded. So pay attention to this. First of all, you should save at least 10% of what you earn from your work. After that, the super important point is to control your spending, making sure you don't spend more than 90% of your salary. Then multiply your money by investing in something, buying products for resale and so on. But to do this, study well before investing so you don't lose your money. Always secure an income for the future and increase your earning capacity by improving your work and investments. If you want to grow financially, you're certainly in the right place. Subscribe and leave a like.